All right, guess we on. Let's get this a little bit closer. Hopefully, you guys should be able to hear me. Hey, what's going on, party people? Now, if this is your first time here, welcome. It's definitely a great pleasure to have you here. I go by the name of Lespri. I am a spiritual healer. And essentially, what I do here, guys, as a spiritual healer, I simply help people to become well, not well. Because yes, I simply help people to attain their highest level of consciousness. And when I say that, what I'm referring to pretty much is helping you to become Christ-like, or Krishna-like, or even Buddha-like. Because all, or let's just say the Christ, all of that represents is anybody who have attained a certain level of consciousness. And if you know anything about the Jesus story, the Siddhartha story, who later on became the Buddha, Jesus who became the Christ, there's always a certain trial and tribulations that they had to overcome for them to actually attain that title. You could see the difference in these people from, how they started and to and to what they become. And that's what becoming, or attaining your highest level of consciousness is. And that's what that and pretty much that right there represents the journey of any one of us who in somehow some way started tapping into who they are, and then at this point you start to acknowledge the spirit in you, and then you become born again, and from there you evolve and you become the Christ consciousness. It's a level. It's and that's what I help you with. Now, how do I help you to get there? I simply help you to get there by pretty much helping you to become mentally and emotionally balanced. And what that means pretty much, and why is it even important for you to be mentally and emotionally balanced? Well, I mean, if either one of them is not balanced, then your perspective is going to be one-sided. If you're too logical, you suppress your emotions. You become one sided. You become very rigid. You're missing out on a lot of small things. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like small things. You tend to forget that we are all the same. You're very logical. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, you never seen anybody who been through certain shit and not having any compassion for someone else who's probably in the same predicament as they were once in. Well, that's because they became very logical, very judgmental. A little bit of emotion would allow you not only to have, well, that's because that person doesn't even have any compassion for themselves neither. Anyway, that would be it. But I guess it was necessary for me to actually mention that. Again, this is also reflecting, it's you. I mean, that's the whole key. No matter what you want out there, it's starting you. But anyway, that's for another that was just the gem of the day. You're welcome. It's on the house. You know what I'm saying? Keep the change. Um, but going back to the conversation at hand here, referring to why is it, I mean, you got to be mentally and emotionally balanced. Or if you're too emotional, you know how you tell somebody, man, I think you're being a little bit emotional. And just by you mentioning that, it's because you're saying they don't fully have the full picture. Because you're too emotional, it doesn't allow you to see the big picture. So again, this is just to show you, it's important for you to attain your highest level of consciousness now, to become your best version. You would have first to, what I'm saying, you would have to, I mean, mind, body, and soul, you would have to be first in alignment with you. Then you grow from there. And to be honest, I mean, I mean, well, that's not the journey, but because you're going to have to, as you being born again, you're going to have to learn how to talk again, to walk again. But anyway, that's down the line. Um, so yeah, so that's pretty much what I do, and that's how I do it. Now, when I'm talking about being emotionally balanced, this is what I want you to understand, right? I'm not talking about here, let's just say, for most people, it's like, it's not to raise your voice, or maybe, you act a certain way. I mean that is totally against what I'm saying here. I mean, if that's what you had in mind, or I mean, well, obviously I'm not sure what you have in mind, but I mean that's not dealing with your emotion here. This is mostly like deceiving yourself. But being emotionally balanced is not to suppress your emotions or not to pretend or to pretend certain things. No. What that means or what that is or what I help you with truly is for you to acknowledge your emotions. And that the whole process of acknowledgement means pretty much you would have to understand what your emotions are because they are energies. And with an energy, there's something called, I mean, it's intelligence. So there's messages. Then you have your emotional patterns. Like when you get hurt, there's a message in it. There's a certain, because it shapes you too. That's why if you put your hands in the fire, you got burned once, you probably wouldn't do it again. So, but again, all I'm saying is, I mean, you felt something, so your emotions, you're dealing with all of that. There's a pattern. Then you're gonna create an emotional pattern. So now for you to become emotionally balanced, you would have to be aware of these things, and you would have to understand and cater to your emotions. That's truly what it is. And being emotionally balanced too doesn't mean you not raising your voice. This is now you do it at your own liberty. You're doing it at your own time, at your own sake. Like I always tell people, like, I may choose, like just like the famous, I mean, this is the famous phrase that I really like. Sometimes you gotta let a nigga know. It's just one time. You know what I'm saying? They said, I'm not worried about you, but let me let you know what this is. You making your statement freely, expressing yourself without any grudges, any back and forth, you know what I'm saying? Now, this is you being fully, and you may choose not to answer. I'm saying that to say being emotionally balanced has nothing to do with deceiving or not, what I'm saying, or not raising your voice. But truly, what it comes down to, it's you mastering your own emotions. You acknowledging, knowing how to deal with your emotions, knowing what your emotions are telling you, and knowing how hurt you are, and in the process for you to fix yourself. Because in the whole process of being emotionally balanced is for you to acknowledge your emotions, understand your emotional patterns, and if there's any blockages, which in most cases will be, for you to actually remove them. And that's what you do, by the way, when you go see a shrink or if you go to a marriage counseling. I mean, that's pretty much what I mean. The therapist or the shrink is actually helping you with, for you to acknowledge those early emotions. How did that make you feel? And if you felt that way, how did that feeling shape your thinking at that time? Because a lot of us, we were pretty much shaped that way. Something happens early on in our lives, it shaped our mind a certain way, and we've been acting that way since. You will not have the full picture if you are emotionally damaged, because as you can see, there's a direct connection to from your emotions to your intellect. If you're depressed, you're not going to make the best decision. Sorry to say, or maybe not sorry to say. And and in addition to that, when I'm talking about helping you to become mentally balanced, it's pretty much the same baseline understanding, right? In terms of, now you have to understand how your mind works. That's your responsibility. In fact, a lot of what we're gonna be talking about tonight, I mean, it's gonna be about your responsibility to you, pretty much. Because the truth is, we are all accountable for ourselves. Do you see what I'm saying? And I don't want to get too much ahead of myself here because I'm going to get to that. And, but again, going back to being mentally balanced, you have to understand how your minds work. But most importantly, you would have to understand how your mind is being shaped, is being conditioned for you to think. And for you to understand that, then you would have to understand your culture. You would have to understand the society that you're living in. Because a lot of those different institution, is shaping you to think a certain way. So for you to be mentally balanced, it's you being in control of your own mind. And for you to do that, you can't have someone else, controlling your mind and you're saying, like it doesn't make sense. So just to summarize pretty much, as a spiritual healer, that's pretty much what I help you with. So I help you to attain your highest level of consciousness. The way I help you to do that now is by becoming mentally and emotionally balanced. And that's pretty much it. And I mean, in fact, it's a whole lot because, I mean, because you're dealing with psychological things. You're dealing with, having a deeper understanding of things, right? We're also talking about an open heart here too, because your heart has to be open to a certain level for you to be receptive to it too. And that's why we call this knowledge some sort of esoteric knowledge, because it's dealing with a deeper side of you that you would need to be open to, for you to. But anyway, that's pretty much what I do. So if you're coming back, what's going on? It's definitely a great. You already know, baby. Let's stop playing. Come on now. Come on, baby. You know what I'm saying? Get your smoke. Get your drink. You know what I'm saying? I do it for you. You know what I'm saying? And for you too, But I do it for everybody who's open to receive this. How about that? But those of you who came back, it's a special thing because, you know what I'm saying? It's for you, man. You know what I'm saying? Get your medicine. Now, um, and of course, it's all love, guys. As is exactly what we do here. And as you can see, the conversation in itself, it's love. Because that's the type of message that would allow you to open up to yourself and for you to love who you are. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's a win-win for you. Now, if you listen, welcome. You know what I'm saying?